From cup sets to assistant manager price reveals, and now the chaos of midweek action is back. And how much rotation can we anticipate? But without further ado, here is to another edition, Gameweek 21, this installment of the FPL Addicts Podcast. About as rusty, such as having fun with flags, but welcome yet again. Good evening, good morning. We've actually got someone from down under in this edition, or good afternoon, wherever you may be tuning in to the FPL Addicts Podcast. Plenty of laughs. We're about to guarantee. It's just a matter of if we are good fantasy managers. Without further ado, let's introduce the panel. First of all, we'll start with Reidy, more straightforward. How you doing?
Yeah, good, mate. Good. Good weekend. Well, I say good weekend. We've been snowed in these parts of England. Northwest has been pretty cold, -5, -6. So, you know, I've got a brew. It's a Monday night, and we're going to chat some FPL and some football. So, you know, what more can I ask for, mate?
That's right. Well, we've got another edition. It's been David Moyes Barmier. He's back from the doldrums after 11 years. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. You know, with Everton, for me, we've got a new manager on the horizon, and it can either mean, you know, a little bit of hope, or it could mean a bit of depression. It could be both, but that's why, you know, Reidy is a Liverpool fan, and he's just sat there drinking a casual cup of tea. I'm on the whiskey, you know, like that's how Everton fans. That's how I'm dealing with my problems tonight. But yeah, I'm looking forward to a second David Moyes era. I think he'll definitely keep us safe. He'll take us into the new stadium for sure in the Premier League, and that's, you know, if you offered me that right now, I'd bite your hand off for it, especially with the way we've been playing. So yeah, looking forward to chatting some FPL as well, boys. Good stuff.
Brilliant. And Pointbreak Andrew, welcome back to the Addicts Podcast. How have you been going?
Mate, I've been great. Thanks for having me on. It's been too long. But yeah, no, 7 a.m. here. If we're doing weather reports, it's about 30 degrees where I am. So you can keep your -6. I'm here with a coffee because it's very early. But yeah, no, I'm doing really well. The last couple of weeks has been pretty rough for me FPL wise, but hopefully can turn that around.
How have you found the new adjustments to the game this season, Andrew, especially with the addition of banking up to 5 transfers and now the assistant manager chip? What are you laughing at?
No.
I don't know.
I think Mikey was sat there reading something.
Oh,
he put in his name thing, something about David Moyes, and I've just changed it to Gollum is my dad.
Because David Moyes does look a little bit like Gollum.
I'm just yeah, sorry. Like, there was a great little question or like great little combo going on there, and I've absolutely ruined it, boys, with my immaturity.
You changed it. I was like, what's that? And then it just caught me totally LB, you know, yeah. And I was away. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, as you were, sorry, Chaz and Andrew, mate. Sorry.
Yeah,
no shenanigans. Sack the scalpers.
I can't even remember what the question was. The changes to FPL this year.
Yeah.
Look, I thought at the start of the season when they said that you're going to be able to build up to 5 free transfers, I thought that it wasn't actually going to affect us too much because I can rarely build up to 2 free transfers, let alone 5. I think early in the season, I got to 3 once, but even now I'm sort of going 1 transfer to transfer every week. So I don't think I don't see myself building up to 5 at any point this season. So I don't think that's affected us as much as people thought it might. And the assistant manager chip, I don't know what to say about that. I guess I'll reserve judgment until we've actually all gone through and played it. But it does seem it's a bit too impactful for me for something that they've just introduced halfway through the season. It's a bit, I think it's a bit much.
What do you think, Reidy and Rev, on the price reveals for the assistant managers?
Do we have David Moyes yet?
0.5 he is.
0.5, yeah.
I think it's going to be interesting to see a team like Everton, because I know that managers get extra points for beating teams who are above them in the league. So if you've got obviously I'm biased, but like, you know, what should be a good team in a low league position like Everton are at the moment, and you know, you'd expect them to win, and you know, we do have some all right fixtures coming up, with teams above us. Like, you know, I go into every game expecting and hopeful, and I hope that we can get a result against Aston Villa. Not that I'm going to pull the trigger on the assistant manager chip now, but you know, I do look at a team like Everton and think, you know what, why not? Because certainly the Everton players haven't given me any joy in FPL recently. So yeah, hopefully, you know, I think one of the main things to do is to plan out our game weeks well in advance, because we're going to have blank game weeks, we're going to have double game weeks. You know, a lot of managers still have their triple captain left. A lot of managers still have their free hit left. You know, a lot of us are looking at free hit 29 as a possibility at the moment, especially with the FA Cup fixtures. They're still to be confirmed, and some of those fixtures happening with teams getting knocked out and whatnot. So, yeah, it'd be really interesting. But I think for now, you know, if you've got those chips from an FPL point of view, hold them. You know, I do feel like, you know, the longer we can hold them, the more advantage we can squeeze out of them, the more of the information we have.
Do you concur, Reidy?
I concur. Yeah. I mean, listen, I think that I'm possibly essays on a similar kind of like point of view from what Andrew. I know you're quite reserved and held your thoughts back on it so far, but it's, you know, it's one of them chips where you've got to kind of have a bit of luck and you've got to play at the right time. Obviously, there's a lot of different things involved in being able to use a transfer and change it, so it's not set for 3 game weeks. But how unexpected was it? 100%. Didn't, obviously no one had a clue what it would be, but you know, the talk is always it a limitless. You know, that's the kind of one you expect maybe for them to give us, but they thought no. We'll maybe actually try and make people plan a bit more, you know what I mean, and see if they can gain really some advantage, you know, whether you're chasing or whether you're, you know, sort of leading and things like that. But, you know, the interesting thing for me with this chip is the table points, you know, that I think Mikey, you know, touched on it there, saying Everton have got decent fixtures coming up. You know, they're down there in the table, the 5 places above thing, obviously can get you a decent chunk of points there. So, yeah, plenty of chips this season, that's for sure. And if you haven't used any, this second half of the season is going to be a tricky one, but possibly a fun one. So, yeah.
It's a great way to look at it. Andrew, you are the first team being revealed when it comes to how it all went down for Game Week 20. Talk us through. Ending on 53 points.
Yeah, Game Week 20 was really bad for me, unfortunately. So it was my second bad week in a row. So I went down. I think 2 weeks ago I was 220k, and now I'm back down to about 600k. So that's how bad the last 2 weeks have gone. Yeah, I was building nicely as well. I think I had about 9 out of 10 green arrows in a row, and then it's all just come crashing down. But I got 3 points from Raya, blanks across the board in defence: Robinson, Gabriel, and Hall. I think one of the biggest mistakes I made this season is when Saka was injured, I went to Odegaard. I think at the time I was kind of tossing up between Odegaard and Bruno. Ultimately, they probably would have both been bad decisions. I should have actually just gone to Gordon. But for whatever reason, he's not even someone that I considered at the time. He sort of emerged a week or so later. And I really do regret not going to Gordon or even in Burmo or anyone else. But I've gone for Odegaard, and he's a real problem in my team now. I got, Salah captain, so I got 14 from him, Semenyo 3, Palmer 10, Isak 7, Wood 8, and Nick Jackson, who I don't consider Nick Jackson a problem in my team, because every time I set my bus team, I'm excited to have him there. I just think he could score 2 or 3 goals every week, but the last 5 or 6 weeks it's been blank after blank. So it is starting to frustrate me, but I still have faith in the player and the asset, especially for the next 2 or 3 weeks. I'm happy to have him there. But yeah, 53 points hasn't been great the last week, but I'm still, apart from Odegaard, I'm still relatively happy with my team overall.
I think part of the issue with Nicholas Jackson is that there's not massive standout players that you can move to other than what you've already got there. You've already got Wood, you've already got Isaac. And so, who else do you go to? That would be my question.
Yeah.
I've had to make a striker move already this game week because Gabriel Jesus has been injured. So, but my move feels way too early because of the fixtures. But we'll get to that in a little bit. But who do you go to? Who would be your go-to player?
Yeah.
For getting rid of Jackson.
Yeah, well, I think if I was to have to go for another forward, I'd be very tempted by Wissa. Even though I think it's a couple of weeks early given their fixtures, but their fixtures are really good. I think from about 23, 24 onwards. And he seems to tick over even in the difficult fixtures. So I wouldn't mind going to Wissa and just sort of going a bit early on that move if I did have to make one. Who else?
There's nothing exactly wrong with playing Wissa against Man City at the moment either. Man City look vulnerable at the back.
Yeah, they're actually easier to tear through in the midfield, and then it seems they seem to concede the same kind of goal when they do concede one, it's where they kind of get broken through the midfield, it comes through the wing, and then the ball gets crossed into the centre for an easy tap into where pretty much Wissa would be. So I don't think playing Wissa against Man City is a problem at all. But apart from that, I guess Cunha will be coming back from suspension as well, so their fixtures are difficult too. So it seems a bit early, which is another reason why I'm happy to hold Jackson for a few more weeks. So I think in a few more weeks, when their really good run finishes, I think there are going to be a few really good options emerging.
I think that was what my question was going to be, Andrew. Did you have Cunha at any point?
I did actually. I only recently got Wood. So
that's a bit personal.
Look, it's very early in the morning, so sometimes you wake up with Wood in your team, and sometimes you don't.
Oh my goodness, nice man.
Yes.
I brought Chris Wood in for Cunha after his suspension. So he's been hurting me most weeks. I finally stopped the bleeding and just got him. I think I've been avoiding Chris Wood all year because I just feel like he can't keep doing it, but he just keeps doing it. So
avoided Wood all year. That's fair enough.
Yeah, I've been avoiding Wood all year. Yeah. But I finally embraced the Wood.
Unless you've got a micro, really? and then it's not possible. But yeah, so that's what I was saying. So Mikey's saying which strikers you go to. You've had Cunha. You're not going to get him because the fixtures are ridiculously tough for Wolves. So you wouldn't get him back. I mean, I think for me, the only strikers that you would be talking about to move Jackson, because just quickly, I moved off Isaac in game week 11. That's when he started going on his run. Yeah. He got points against Liverpool, and I got Jackson. Now, I wanted Jackson, so that I thought basically I'll get rid of Isaac, get Jackson, and then just Jackson held him for a good few game weeks. All right, he got a couple of returns, and I was just like, I'm just watching Isaac there, just return, and I'm like, oh, what have you done? So yeah, it is tricky, especially if you want to play that 3-4-3. You know what I mean? You've got to then kind of feel like you've got to have a third striker. 2 set and forgets quickly probably are João Pedro and Raul Jimenez. Raul Jimenez even more so now because Muniz has picked up an injury, but also from a price point of view, both 5.7. You can't go wrong on pens. But yeah, go on, Chazza. Onto the leagues.
Brilliant. Well, before we get onto the leagues and me having to get over those Woods slang terms from Andrew, we've got to say good evening to the chat, of course. Colm, our Fulham connoisseur, as always, thank you for joining. Miriam as well. Evening to you too. And it's been 2 years of you watching us, so thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
We feel the love, It's great. Love it.
Yeah. Oh, we always do. Our league now, I just really had to sledgehammer into our mini league after hearing that wood quote because, yeah, that's hard to get over. But, Rev, let's get to your side. I think all of us got similar scores back in Game Week 20. Feels an eternity ago. You got 59 points. Take it away.
Yeah, wasn't an awful game week by any stretch of the imagination. I think the highlight for me was Gibbs White, just being a little bit of a differential pick. So, brought him in, and within minutes of him being brought in for me, did what he did and scored an absolutely excellent goal. Great finish. Really excited to own him in the future, especially after the Liverpool fixture. I think for me, my hope is that, Nottingham Forest, they just stay confident. And Liverpool don't break the heart too much, that they are like second in the league right now or something ridiculous like that. And I want them to go on a great run. I think they're a fantastic club and they deserve the success right now. And Gibbs White has just been, for me, like quite instrumental for me. I do love my underlying data. I love my analytics, and I do look at a player like Chris Wood and look at all of the points that he's getting, but I look at his underlying data. His underlying data isn't actually that impressive. He's really doing well this season, but from an analytics point of view, he's overperforming. Whereas someone like Gibbs White, I feel like is a bit more minutes secure, and his underlying data is pretty good as well. So that was the slice of the Nottingham Forest attack that I wanted to get involved with, and it's a bit of a differential as well. I am chasing in my mini league, so I need to do something a little bit different to catch the likes of Reidy and Chaz. Whether or not it's going to be in vain is something else to see. But we're only halfway through the season, and there's a long way to go.
Yeah, have a great take, and it's just great to see you have an average week after your 100. That's what we're about here.
Well, yeah, fair. But it's all right. I'll take an average week, considering all my below average weeks that I've had. So onwards and upwards.
Well, someone even had a even below average week, and that was Reidy, who finished with 53 and a hit. Yeah. Didn't you get off a phone call with Rev and you ended up taking 3 transfers? What was the go here, Reidy?
Yeah, Reidy, you were telling me to be really sensible, to not do anything rash. Don't take any hits, Mikey. Just keep it all level-headed, and then you go and do what, mate? What do you do?
Just lost my marbles as usual. There's no explanation. I swear. Like, come off the phone, and I'm like, right. I've been obviously mulling this in my head before Mikey's messaged me on a Sunday because for some reason God works in mysterious ways.
Yeah, tradition.
He works on a Sunday. He sometimes drinks on a Sunday.
Me or God?
This is exactly what I'm saying. He drinks on a Sunday, and he also FPLs on a Sunday. Now, if you're combining at least 2 out of those 3, it's probably a recipe for disaster, right? Now, as Mikey's saying, I've given him the advice: stay level-headed, stay calm. And in the meantime, I've been looking at my team and I've been going, I've got 2 free transfers. I know there's some price changes, and there was just some due to happen that night or even during the week. And I thought, I've got the exact money to take out. I think it was like, who was it now? It was like Gordon, Chris Wood, and Rodgers. Now, bear in mind, Andrew, this was before Villa had played, right? So I've took out, I think it was Jackson for Wood. Jackson for Wood, Enzo for Rodgers or Gordon. And then the other one was Matoma. So I had 3 guys in there that were basically awful, Enzo, Matoma, and Jackson. And I thought, I've got the exact money. I can't afford to wait here. So I got off the phone, like Mikey's saying, give him this great advice. Don't do anything silly. And then I've messaged him saying, I've just made 3 transfers, -4.
Like within 10 minutes.
Do you know what's worse as well? If I'd have just held off on the Enzo move, I I could have kept Enzo and I could have waited to see if Rodgers obviously got his yellow, because that was a great fixture for Villa, wasn't it, Leicester?
Yeah.
And I'd have saved the -4, and I could have got Rodgers later. But that's how it panned out. Anyway, I don't want to harp on too much longer. But not many people can, A, take a hit in one game week. B, also, bear in mind, I had 10 players, right? So that -4, Andrew, could have been, because I ended up with no money in the bank, could have been a goalkeeper transfer instead, because I had Fabianski and I had Valdemar, well, you say his name right. So it could have made a goalkeeper transfer, but it just so happens I had no money in the bank. So what keepers are you buying from this point forward for 4.1? The answer's none, really, that are playing. So proper did myself big time. But anyway, for the game week, we're going on too much here. Chris Wood turned out actually as a decent move in actual fact. Gordon, good move in actual fact. And then the rest, apart from Mo Salah captain, and Isaac, was a little bit, all fart and no poo. So, 53 with a -4, 49. Let's get this team off the screen ASAP, Chaz.
That's correct. It's going to be hard to try and get Elliot. 30 points at the moment. There's still plenty of time to make amends. Only just above you by 8 points. We ended on, 62 with our first hit for season. Great stuff. Gordon, Salah, Palmer. There seems to be a trend going on. But with differential points, and finally I get to field him. Ola Aina, the highest scoring defender in the game. Yes, sir. Get the 6-pointer up your sleeve.
Fair play, dude.
Nice.
That's about it.
Yeah. Fair. I just want to continue a conversation, though, from our last episode. So if you remember in our last episode, Cole Palmer had blanked a couple of times, and there was some, whispers and some rumors, and then he goes and gets the double digits. Guys, like it's night and day from game week to game week in FPL in our thoughts and feelings on particular players, and yet here again, Cole Palmer hushing the doubters. What do we think about Cole Palmer this game week? Because we discussed them last week about how he was for some people he was on the chopping block.
Well,
who would you drop him for? Sorry,
yeah,
Reidy.
No, I was going to say that it is difficult, like you're saying, Andrew. Who'd you drop him for one? Arsenal, there's no appeals there. Saka's out till March.
It wasn't me talking about dropping him though. It
was Chaz, was it? Or me?
It was you. What do you read?
It was me.
It was you.
Okay. I think it was more a conversation of saying that he has had a few blanks. He got his good period really was Villa, Southampton, Spurs and so on. But I think the conversation was more so Haaland looked all right. And I was basically saying if you're going to drop anyone to get Haaland, it would have to be Palmer. And, if he'd have blanked last week, then it's going, okay, well, can you really get Haaland? If Haaland looks nice and he's looking back to himself and City...
if Haaland gets a hat-trick against Brentford, it's going to be chaos. It's going to be absolute FPL chaos.
It'll be knee-jerk chaos. However, unless you've got a load of transfers in your back pocket or you're going to wildcard, you just can't get there. And you're going to have to sell a Palmer or a Salah. And that's the tricky part, is that after that Brentford game, City only have Ipswich, and then it gets really difficult for their run. So you want to take that risk because you're going to have to get Salah back for the double anyway. If you do get rid of him, feels like a bit too much chopping and changing. But yeah, sorry, Andrew. In terms of Palmer, what you saying? Would you still just hold him? Who'd you get rid of him for? Is it fixtures still good for Chelsea? What do you think?
Yeah, that's exactly my thoughts. I think ultimately this week we probably will see Haaland do really well, but I think we'll see Salah and Palmer do well also. So I think everyone's just going to say to themselves, "Oh, look, Haaland's too expensive. These other guys are still returning. Like we're just going to have to leave Haaland alone." If you look at Chelsea's fixtures, Bournemouth at home, then Wolves at home, then they've got City away, but then they've got West Ham at home. So the 3 out of the next 4 really, really good fixtures. I think that if we took out Palmer before those kind of 3 fixtures and then Palmer did what Palmer does, he'll probably score 35, 40 points over the next 4 weeks. I think we'd feel pretty silly. I think we all know what Palmer can do. I think the conversation is more actually around Chelsea themselves, because I don't think it's Palmer that's been the problem. I think for some reason Chelsea recently are just not clicking like they were a month ago. I don't know. I don't really know what's changed, but with those fixtures, I think I've just got faith that Chelsea will sort of click, and I think both Palmer and Nick Jackson will return over the next 3 or 4 weeks. But yeah, as you said, with Saka gone, we do have. We do have really just 2 premiums now. We've got Salah and Palmer in our teams, and I just find it very difficult to drop either of them. So I don't think it really matters what Haaland does. I don't think I can see myself moving to him.
Yeah, and I think that's it. Chelsea, exactly that, rely on Palmer and Jackson. And, they've got sprinkles of talent here and there, and they've ultimately got, one of the biggest squads in the league, but they're still bad defensively. And if then those 2 players aren't on the ball, where did they end up? So they were always going to drop off or kind of come, a bit stuck at some point. People just didn't expect it to happen against Everton, Fulham and Ipswich. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but Palmer is a hold. From an FPL point of view, all 4 of us have got Palmer right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He ain't going anywhere, is he, boys? Let's be honest.
Yeah. Might have been a different conversation though if he blanked again, but we'll see again in a couple of game weeks. It's fun. It's fun to discuss this either way, isn't it?
It is.
Pretty fun stuff.
Just quick look over the public league. Tom Stone's still with a commanding lead by 33 points at this stage. A couple did score in the 80s too, with Aaron and Jaka both rounding up the top 5. And to you guys, the next point I want to go over is the FA Cup results. What did you make of the 4th round draw and about Brentford getting knocked out by Plymouth? We'll start off with, considering he goes to Plymouth half the time, Rev.
Yeah, well, I mean, my wife is a Plymouth Argyle fan, Green Army. So, that was quite all right to see. Obviously a bit of a shock, but also, for Brentford owners in FPL, it just means, less chance of blank game weeks in the future. Maybe that's the positive way of looking at it, I guess. A little bit shocking. I was interested when Bournemouth went 1-0 down to West Brom. That was fun for about 5 minutes, and then they battered West Brom 5-1. So, that's the magic of the cup. I think that the most interesting thing about the cup was the Liverpool game against Accrington Stanley. Who were they? For those who watched the milk advert as a kid, but maybe I'm showing my age. Now, I'm going to prove all these greys at some point. Yeah, the most interesting part for me was the whole discussion in the build-up of the game surrounding Trent Alexander-Arnold, and especially from an FPL perspective, whether or not he was a hold or a sell or a keep. Or some people even saying like, well, with the double game week coming up, do we buy him? And some people like, well, no, we got to avoid him now because Connor Bradley's back. And for me, I think he's an absolute easy hold, like the easiest hold that there's maybe ever been. He scores a screamer in the cup, gets taken off at 60 minutes. For me, that's the manager saving him for the next fixture. That's how I read that, but I could be wrong. Be interested to know your thoughts.
Reidy, Andrew, just on any game. You know what? I'll go briefly. Sorry, no, you go.
Oh, sorry, Chaz. I was just going to say, I agree that Trent's a hold. I don't think there's any sense in getting rid of any of your Liverpool assets before the double game week. But I think where some people might have been planning to free up some cash to get him for the double, I think there's going to be people that are a bit reluctant to do that now. It's probably is likely that he gets one in the double. He might only start one of the 2 because I think they are going to try to get Connor Bradley some minutes. I wouldn't spend that much on bringing someone in before the double. But if you got him, you definitely got to hold him.
Yeah, for sure. Reidy, our resident Liverpool fan, what do you make of the Trent situation?
It's a tricky one really, because from a league perspective and FPL perspective, that's where it matters really. And coming up against Manchester United, they got the tactics spot on, overload on Trent's side, and made him look really bad. I mean, not only that though, his passing was absolutely abysmal as well. So from someone who hasn't owned Trent, I had him at the beginning of the season, but for someone who hasn't owned him for a little while, and I've been on Van Dijk, I was thinking of getting him, just because when I was looking at us not keeping clean sheets, which is the main thing really. If you've got someone like Van Dijk, who's a 90-minute man, goes up for corners, so you maybe hope for the odd goal and stuff. Since Manchester City in Gameweek 13, we've kept one clean sheet, which is against West Ham, the 5-0. Now, during that period, Trent outscored Van Dijk. And, I know we say it's an extra, was it? Well, at this stage, it's 0.7 million, which is quite a bit, really, considering we've got that ass-manship now. So, yeah, for me, I'd be looking at buying him. Although he's there, sort of this Real Madrid rumours and, contract situations are overhanging. He's had a bad game against Manchester United, but then he's played in the Cup and kind of come off early, scored a beautiful goal, brilliant goal.
Oh, peach. Yeah.
I'd still be tempted to buy him. I still would be tempted to buy him. And if we've got him, like you boys said, just hold him. There's no reason not to. And in terms of the fixture, the double, we play Plymouth, this Champions League coming up, all that sort of stuff. But I still feel like those two games are games that, because they're away, most importantly, are games where a slot, if he can, he'll play his best team. So I think Trent will play those two games. But obviously Bradley's there to take some minutes off him or potentially, start. But yeah, I think if you are looking at what I've just mentioned about those game weeks, if you're looking at if we keep a clean sheet and he returns like he did against West Ham, the upside is massive compared to having a Van Dijk or a Konate or a whoever. And that's my 2 cents on it.
Brilliant.
Yeah, nice
all
one, mate.
Trent, contract stuff. But for me, it's all about Tamworth, Ange Postecoglou, calling Brennan Johnson shit, Ollie Watkins, and I believe they should bring back replays. But I understand why they don't have it. It's to fit the current format of the Champions League. But geez, Tamworth were robbed of $1 million.
Oh, unlucky. Really unlucky. Did really, really well. And yeah, just that's it. That's the look of that's the FA Cup. You either get the magic or you don't. And unfortunately didn't make it through. But they've got all sorts of people playing for them, 32-year-old centre-backs who are plumbers. That's how it should be, you know what I mean? Like
doing Cruyff turns and Zidane spins as well. Like when they're one-on-one at the back, like absolutely legendary stuff. They'll take that forever. You know what I mean? Against Premier League side, making them look silly for a bit. That was great. Mm-hmm. That's what the Cup's all about. It's just quintessential footy, that for me. Love it.
Oh, indeed. Women's League, very quickly now. Unfortunately, the streak has ended. Mira is now not on top. She has plummeted to second spot and with a very nice 74-point game week, and she's now ahead by 17 points. Interesting developments on that front. Now, big discussion point. I'm so curious to know, because we talked about this just before, especially about how Ngumo was firing, getting Bowen replacements. After Salah and Palmer, who are the best of 3 midfielders to own in the game?
I'm going to be totally biased and say Morgan Gibbs-White. I don't think he's being talked about enough. I think after this Liverpool game, I think he's got some incredible fixtures coming up. I think his minutes are absolutely excellent. And I was watching the Forest game as well, and everything was going through him. Absolute joy to watch. Really, great player. And just from an FPL perspective, he looks like he could get a return every time he's on the ball. So, really passing the eye test. Underlying data and expected data from him looks great as well. So, if you want to look him up, go on SofaScore and see what his underlying data is. But yeah, he's been absolutely great. I'm not sure he's like the best player to own. But you know, if I was going to say someone like Anthony Gordon, I'm looking at his fixtures that are on the horizon. You know, obviously over the next few, Anthony Gordon's great, but you know, after those few, I'm maybe not too sure that he's going to be like, you know, being able to return as he has been. But I don't know. Over to you, boys.
Yeah,
I think.
Oh, go on.
So you go, Reidy. No, you go, Reidy.
Guess first. Go on.
Oh, okay. I was just going to address what Rev said about Gordon, because I kind of, in my mind, I'm just planning for my own team. I'm looking at Anthony Gordon and Mbeumo almost as one asset, because Anthony Gordon's fixtures are really, really good for like the next 3 or 4, and then they drop off. And that at that exact moment, Mbeumo's fixtures are just fantastic. So if you have one transfer to use, I think the best play is to go with Gordon now and then switch to Mbeumo. Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, so Gordon's got Wolves at home, Bournemouth at home, then Southampton away, and Fulham at home. And I think, so Fulham at home is in game week 24. I think if we then look at Mbeumo's fixtures, I'll just have a look at that. So game week 24, Mbeumo has Tottenham at home, then West Ham, Leicester, Everton. So those next 4 from that point, because Spurs at home is, let's face it, it's a fantastic attacking fixture. So the transition is almost is perfect for those two. So if I'm talking about the best midfielders to own, I think right now it's obviously Salah, Palmer, and then I think it is Gordon, with a mind to switching to Mbeumo around game week 24. And then apart from that, I like the Morgan Gibbs White shout. Having, you know, listened to the justifications for it, it was a bit of a surprise at first, but I think, you're right. He's a bit under the radar as a pick, but I think there's also some really good Crystal Palace assets at the moment that we can be looking at in Eze and Sarr for those sort of 4th and 5th midfield spots.
Yeah, and by the way, just for the record, look at those returns. If we move off the fixtures, look at the returns over the past 6. You know, just my only regret about him is not getting them sooner. Yeah,
I guess it's hard to predict when they're going to start, aren't they? Especially with an asset like him. Sure. You know, he's lost penalties as well to Chris Wood. So if he had pens, I think he would have been someone that was pretty popular all through the season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
well, he was on pens, wasn't he?
He was, but I think
Chris Wood, now Chris Wood is,
because he keeps on making them. He's just keeping them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty good.
It is. Any surprises, guys, on the transfers front? Because I know Rev mentioned Nicholas Jackson last episode. Is it still the same level of surprisement or not?
Again, like you know, it's about where the problems are in your team with FPL. It always is, and if Nicholas Jackson, if you are transferring out Nicholas Jackson right before he plays Bournemouth, your team must be fantastic. Like, and fair play, you know, fair play if you're doing it, and you've got that ability to make a luxury move because your team is in such good nick that you are able to do that. But for me, it's like it's such an absolute no-brainer, and the most frustrating thing about Nicholas Jackson is that his underlying data is fantastic as well. Like, it is his expected goal involvement per 90 is like either the highest or the second highest of all forwards in FPL right now, which is dumb. Like, considering, you know, the fixtures he's had and the fact that he's not been getting any returns recently, it's just completely frustrating. As an owner, it's one of them where it's an absolute correct, you know, choice to pick Jackson with obviously a very poor outcome. So, you know, don't beat yourselves up, FPL managers. It was the right choice.
Yeah, he's like the forward version of Semenyo, you know what I mean? In terms of all the data is there, but the returns are not. And I own both of them. It's been really frustrating. But I did have Jackson down. I think I got him in game week 12 wildcard, and he pretty much single-handedly rocketed me up the rankings for about 3 or 4 weeks. It's just that since then, there's been nothing. So I know that he's capable of it. That's why I'm keeping the faith, like you suggest.
Yeah.
Reidy.
Yeah, I think what the boys have said is true about Jackson. Obviously, I've owned him as well, so I can see where you're coming from. It's just that he just doesn't. A, his finishing isn't quite there, and B, he's not the type of striker. Who's always in the box. He is a runner. He is a runner. Like, he's got pace, and he'll run onto balls, but there's just not enough from the wings at times. Like, it all comes through Palmer centrally at times. Like, and he's not always going to find that through ball. Where Jackson's playing on the last man. So yeah, like, I'm surprised that he's the top transfer out, because I think there are other players that deserve to go. But I can also see why it's justified at the same time. But no surprises. I mean, Jesus injured, Maddison. Who has a clue this season what Andrew's doing with Maddison or Tottenham in general? Maddison's such a strange one, because he'll go through patches of being really good, looking really sharp, obviously getting points, goals, assists, and so on. But then Angel, just like, his minutes are so strange. Their minutes played in the last 5 games. It's just weird, really strange. And he's one of their most creative players, you would probably say. So yeah, no real surprises, I would say, other than maybe Jackson. That was it. That's about
it. Yeah. I think there might be a slight issue. I think some people are bringing in Ahmad Diallo, and I think not a terrible pick, but I think with the injury situation at United right now, and the with the situation in the squad, he looks maybe set to play as a wing back again. Not that he can't return from wing back, but like, would I be bringing him in this week specifically when we might be looking at playing wing back again? Not something I'd be too certain that I'd be doing. Bruno Fernandes, maybe, because he's been playing left wing at the moment and was looking quite good there against Arsenal. And they've had a good game against Liverpool, good game against Arsenal, so maybe they've got their confidence back. But yeah, I'm not sure I'd be bringing in Diallo this week, with him basically going to be a wing back again.
I think so. Just briefly on the transfers out before we head to the fixtures for this coming game week, Luis Diaz, because Liverpool have a double coming up. That is very intriguing. It's too knee-jerk, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think people's concern is just with his minutes, to be honest. It's not with the player. So I understand the frustration when you've got a guy that you think has, got a lot of attacking upside, and then he's coming off on like the 59th minute. So if he doesn't return in the first half, then you're looking at a 1-pointer sometimes with him. And then, every second or third game, he's coming off the bench and he's only getting 30 minutes. So then you're looking at another 1-pointer. I think that's the frustration with him. When he's on the field, he's fantastic and he can return for you, but it's just the minute. So I think for the double game week, I think it's likely that he probably starts one and is benched for the other. So again, do you feel like there's someone else that can get you more returns? Holding someone for a number of weeks before a double game week where one of the 2 games could well just be a 1-pointer. That's frustrating, and it's a difficult position for owners to be in, because it's kind of, you want to hold him, but you also don't know whether there's more opportunities between now and the double game week to make points than the opportunity for him to return big for you in the double game week is. So I think it's a really I don't envy people that have got to make that decision.
Yeah, I just want to ask Reidy a question, because like, if I was to go out on a limb and make a statement here, I'd want to know whether or not you agree with it, Reidy. Gakpo is first choice. Discuss.
Based
I
on,
think it's too hard to ignore. No.
Yeah, the thing with Gakpo is he is better on the left. He plays there for us. When he first come into Liverpool, he was playing in that sort of central role. Diaz was out on the left and things like that, and obviously Gakpo shared it with Jota, things like that. So, for Holland, he plays on the left, and we've saw this season Diaz play more central. Quite a few games Diaz has played central, which he's been good. Don't get me wrong, he's normally done quite well when he's been there. But I would just say that the issue with that is you've got Jota, you've got Nunes, and that's 3 players fighting for one position. Automatically, that means minutes are compromised. So Gakpo for me is the number 1 pick, especially on the left. If we're talking about there, which is ultimately probably Diaz's position or best position. So yeah, Gakpo seems to be the one. He's in form. 7 points.
Excellent form.
7.1, 7.2 maybe, or something along them lines. I mean, we've got a double coming up. We were talking about issues with strikers before for yourself, Andrew, and who do you go to? Do you want to go cheaper, or do you want to still go cheaper? Because obviously, Jackson costs more. But do you want to kind of like to only have a bit left in comparison to if you go into a Raul or a João Pedro? So, yeah, listen, although he's in form, I still don't like it compared to someone who's A, on pens and B, going to be playing more minutes. It's a punt at the end of the day.
Wow. Fair play. Because I think I'm going to be taking that punt. Not this week, but for me, Jackson is very much on the chopping block, and I'm not about to sell Jackson before Bournemouth, but next week I could definitely see myself going Jackson to Gakpo as a move for sure.
Well, Jackson's got Wolves at home next week, so you'll be saying the same next week.
If he blanks again against Bournemouth, I might just have to let a dead horse lie. You know what I mean?
I think he's minimum. You're going to give him minimum 2 game weeks. You are, because you're not going to get rid of him against Wolves. It's just not happening.
Yeah, who does Liverpool have next week? They've got Brentford away, so
yeah.
And then it's 23 that they've got Ipswich
Brentford
at home.
Leaky, so
bit of a toughie, like not too much of a toughie because they can see Brentford, but yeah, I mean, getting rid of Jackson, who's at home to Wolves and plays on the Monday night, the last game when Gakpo's played 60-something minutes against Brentford or who knows what, you've got to at least hold him for the next 2, I think, Jackson. Then he plays City and we play Ipswich in 23. So if you've got the transfers in the back pocket, and you've got the double in mind, then Ipswich could be the one where you get rid of Jackson and you bring in.
Right. I'm just not sure I can bring myself to hold Jackson for that long, though. You know what I mean? It's been painful.
Yeah.
And just to fill in Andy on just a bit of context from my season, I was one of those who just hung on to Haaland way too long, and I'm starting to get the same vibes from Jackson. Yep. I'm holding them a bit too long. It's not going to be one of them where I'm going to do something really rash, Reidy, and spaff me wild card really early, something like that, straight away, once we've got it, like something ridiculous like that. I don't know who would do that, Reidy, but yeah, one of them.
Yeah. I don't know who would do that. It sounds absolutely ludicrous.
It's reckless, isn't it? It's reckless, isn't it, Reidy?
Yeah, this early on with all the potential snow that we've got coming again in late January, more bubbles. Yeah, so it's a good point.
Yeah.
All right, everyone, pick one standout fixture for Gameweek 21. Pointbreak, your first up. Then we'll go to Rev because he's got something about him tonight. Then Brady, and then I'll go myself last.
Mm-hmm.
I think the standout fixture this week, I think it's like head and shoulders, to be honest, is Newcastle home to Wolves. I think that, Wolves defensively, they're terrible. Newcastle have actually been keeping a lot of clean sheets recently. So I think that, for some of their defensive assets like Lewis Hall, you could be looking at clean sheet plus attacking returns. I think there's just going to be a lot of goals in that game. So I think triple Newcastle, if you can get to it, is a good idea.
Love it. Rev.
Well, just sorry to piggyback on off the back of that. Even with Isaac's little yellow flag at the moment, what do we think of Isaac's minutes going forward? Because for me, it affects us whether or not we decide to captain him, right?
Yeah.
Because he's very captainable, right now. But if his minutes look like he plays maybe 60, 70 minutes only, I don't know. Have we heard any chatter about that injury?
What I heard, and I don't know if there's substance to it or not. Obviously, Eddie Howe said it was precautionary, but he lies to us, so you can't trust him.
He does.
But apparently, he was back in training a couple of days later, so hopefully, it really was a precautionary sub. I kind of feel like if he's got, Eddie Howe said it was hamstring tightness, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he's either got a hamstring injury or he doesn't. So I feel like if he plays, it'll be the normal 90 minutes, or at least 70 until they won't take him off until the game's done at 3-0 or 4-0, at which point he's already got his brace. So and I think if he is injured, he just won't play. So I don't know if there's much of a risk of a cameo. I think he's either going to play as normal or not.
Okay.
I don't know. That's just my take on it. Having said that, the captaincy, maybe it is that little bit more of a risk. So I'm not sure. I'd be a little bit spooked, I think.
Yeah, fair play. So standout fixture for me, obviously, we're going to see David Moyes returning to Goodison Park to take on Aston Villa. It's going to be one of them where Everton have got a double game week coming up, pretty imminently. And I think, that there might be a lot of chips flying around. We need to see who Moyes picks as a defender. Whether or not he stays with Mikalenko, or whether he goes with Patterson and then moves Young over to the left. But we'll see what happens with him, of course. But it's just a big moment for Everton. I think any David Moyes' success will rely on keeping clean sheets. So all eyes on the Everton defensive assets for me. Some people thinking Pickford might be a good goalkeeper moving forward as well. But again, it depends on how David Moyes sets us up. When he set up with Everton in the past, and this is going way back, he would use a 4-1-4-1 formation. If anyone is old enough to remember that formation, very, very classic. One of the pioneers of the 4-5-1, almost, David Moyes back in the day, in that kind of era. So looking forward to seeing a little bit of counter-attacking as well. Whether or not we've got the pace to counter-attack is a whole other option. We previously had players like Stephen Pienaar and Mikel Arteta to play on the break, and flying wing backs like a Seamus Coleman in his prime, and Leighton Baines as well. Best left back the Premier League's ever seen. Don't mention Ashley Cole. You're biased. But I'm just really looking forward to it. Hopefully, see a little bit of positivity out of Goodison as well. It's been pretty toxic of late. Just want to respond to some of the Twitter stuff. Obviously, Evan put out a statement just saying we've sacked Sean Dyche. And some people were a little bit miffed about that. They were like, "Oh, you could at least be polite, or you should be grateful to him, or whatever." And I'm like, I'm kind of grateful that he saved us from relegation, but at the same time, I would have hoped that maybe we would have kicked on the season afterwards and improved. But Jamie Carragher absolutely annihilated us from a stats perspective on the type of football that we're playing, and it's indicative of how boring we've been to watch recently. It's been absolute Brexit FC style of football, absolute anti-football. It's not been good, and the results haven't been there ultimately. And for me, should we have sent him off with a heroes parade? No, I'm kind of happy with the way that we did it. It kind of makes a statement. It kind of gets us back to our roots. There's a message right on the front of Everton's shirt that seems to have been forgotten, at least over the past 30 years. It's on the badge. It says nil satis nisi optimum in Latin. That means nothing but the best will do. And nothing but the best is good enough. So yeah, really looking forward to. Sorry, rant over by the way, but really looking forward to getting back to our best.
Cheers.
That's it.
Really?
Nothing but the best. So you got David Moyes.
Yeah. I think
So we got David. Sorry there, Andy. Do you mean the guy who took West Ham from being like absolute relegation fodder and turned them into European Cup winners, or you mean the guy who took Everton and from being relegation fodder and took them to competing for the Champions League? Do you mean that guy? Is that the guy you mean?
That's
okay,
the guy.
cool.
The guy that they've already sacked once.
Yeah, we haven't sacked him. We didn't sack him. He left.
Okay.
He left
he
him
went
on.
to United, stuff the United.
Yeah,
stuff.
Sir Alex Ferguson said to him,
True. Yes, that's true. I remember that now. I didn't mean to poke the bear. I was just
No,
having
it's all right.
cheeky crack.
Just get your facts right before you come and mess with me. You know what I mean? I'm joking, mate.
Yeah, I mean it's a nice saying. It is lovely and it sounds all fancy, but nothing but the best. And then most of the time, pretty shit is not great, is it? Let's be honest. Like from that point of view, I think it's like the whole similar to Spurs. It's got to start from top to bottom. Got to have the right people in the right places. Best interest at heart. Like the club, ultimately, no player is bigger than the club. Financially, structure. That's what you want, and that's been the biggest issue to end on a kind of like end on the Everton note, such as you've not been able to sign the players, and ultimately you're suffering because you haven't got the quality. You then get injuries. The manager's not good enough, and there's lots of factors in there. And plus, as you said,
we've spent astronomical amoents of money. It's just not been good money spent.
The recruitment. I mean, it's like United not too long ago when United had who was the manager? Was it Ten Hag? Was it before him? When they were signing Pogba and they were dishing out all these wages, the Hayes on 300+ grand, and they're buying all these players, and it's not the right recruitment, the right scouting. So you know what? Listen, as much as we can slag yous off and give yous loads of grief, and this is not just Liverpool fans, any other fans, this is almost like a second chance. And I think that if there was anyone that's going to put it right and maybe set Everton up, especially with the new stadium coming in, set these up, and new owners or shareholders, it's going to potentially be David Moyes because he knows the club better than a lot of people. So it's probably a nice thing for Everton fans. That they've got someone that they think, I know. Do you know what? We'll bring someone else in who doesn't really know what they're doing, and it's a temporary thing, and this, that, and the other. It might not go right this time for David Moyes in his second spell, but it might actually be the silver lining. So, best of luck to you. Hope you get relegated still. Ciao.
that is only something someone from Runcorn would say.
Yeah, of course it is.
You absolute wool. The Merseyside derby is a staple of the Scouts year, and someone from over the Runcorn Bridge, of course, would say that. Get back in your brown wheelie bin, lads.
But yeah, moving on from Everton anyway, because we've got more.
Yeah, please do. That'd be great. Cheers.
Yeah. Go on, Chaz. What have we got?
No, what was your fixture, Reidy?
My fixture. It would have to be.
After all of that,
it's tight. No, it's got to be a title clash. You know what I mean? What better than to go for Nottingham Forest?
It is a title clash as well.
Listen, whether this will be a defining game for the season, and we go okay because of that game. I don't think it's that type of it's too early to say that. But I think it's a great game, especially they've beat us at Anfield, the only team to do it this season. And as of late against United, and all the rumours about contracts and whatnot, and this game's away. There's a lot riding on this game from that point of view. We have got a point to prove. Okay, Forest are knocking on the door at the minute. Chelsea have dropped off, Arsenal's still there or thereabouts, but can Forest do what, is the unthinkable almost? They beat us.
Oh, it'd
They
be
end up
insane. It'd be absolute cinema.
So it's a massive, massive game. And I think that, I think both teams are going to go at this. Would you be surprised if it ended up in a draw, a score draw or something, or, it's a battle of defences, this game. So I'm really looking forward to it. I think that's the standout game for me. I mean, there are some decent games in there from an FPL point of view. And I think Chaz is going last. So I think there's another game there that obviously stands out.
Oh, yeah.
That would be my game. That would be my game.
Yeah, I won't go in detail because everyone else took the details on their responses. But it's a North London derby, especially how relevant Arsenal assets are these days. It seems that we're abandoning the double defence from that side. What attackers do we go for? Is it another Jesus rising to the cross again, as Rev would insist? It's just one of those ones. So. Could be, one of those. But I tell you what it's time for. It's time to reveal our teams for game week 21. Seeing if anyone makes a live move or if some are just rolling their way to an almighty 4 or 5 free transfers for the opening double game week of the season. Reidy, are you ready to go?
Oh, we're going straight into the deep end.
No, I'm not ready to go, mate. I still don't know what.
You need to do Reidy last because there's fireworks, mate. Absolute fireworks from.
I don't think anyone's ready. Basically, Chaz has come back to the screens, and everyone's like, "Nope, I'm not."
I'll go. I don't mind. You can put up my team, Chazza.
Sure. Put it up there, straight up.
No problem. Give me one moment, Rev. When you're going into a game week such as this, is it hard to make a move, or is it relatively straightforward compared to other weeks?
It. Obviously team dependent, and I can only speak for myself. For me, I've had an injury, and so that transfer kind of makes itself. I kind of touched on it earlier with Andy in that maybe moving to Wisa might feel a little bit too early, but also there's nothing wrong with playing Wisa against Man City. So it's Gabriel Jesus out for me because he was stretchered off in the FA Cup game, and Wisa is in. I think he's a great long-term hold. I've got Gibbs White to cover my Nottingham Forest attack moving forward. And my captain's armband is, of course, on Mo Salah. My only real issue is my bench dilemma. But I think Everton, I'm an Everton fan. So maybe that's kind of speaking into it. I feel like I've got to back Everton right now. And so benching Rodgers, benching Conte for David Moyes' Barmy Army. He's got red hair, but we don't. He's got grey hair nowadays. He's got grey hair, but we don't care. David Moyes. But what I would be most interested to hear will be how you boys will be setting this team up. Obviously, I can't even say his name. Verbruggen in goal. Yeah. What the fuck was that, Chaz?
I was trying to do an impersonation of how you said it about 3 episodes ago.
What, like? Oh, I know he plays for the Seagulls, but you didn't have to impersonate one. But yeah, I'm not sure. Like, the benching dilemma is actually pretty strong here because you could play Conte, you could play Rodgers, but at the same time, Conte's been absolutely shocking recently. Not from a football perspective, but from an FPL perspective. And I feel like I want to back Gibbs White's form, over Rodgers as well, especially because Aston Villa are away from home. And David Moyes is going to want to make a statement of intent. That Goodison Park is a fortress. It was a real fortress for him back in the day. So yeah, I don't know. How would you set us up here?
No, it's good as it is.
Yeah. Anyone disagree?
I definitely think you got the defense right. I do think Rodgers versus Gibbs White is a very close one. But
it is. It's
given that you're an Everton fan, like I've got
to back these boys.
Yeah.
The only issue from an FPL perspective is the fact that I'm playing Gibbs White against Trent, and that feels a little bit counterintuitive. But
yeah,
you
it
know,
kind of minimizes your upside a little bit.
Yeah, but we don't own Trent for the clean sheets anyway, do we?
Yeah.
You know, we own him for the outside the box screamers and all the assists. So yeah.
Yeah, I think
but
for me, it'd be Rodgers over Wissa. Just from a minute's point of view, I think Rodgers is a 90-minute man.
Really? I'm not sure Wissa's a.
Yeah, I think City are back. Personally, I think City are, although they've got a tough run coming up, I think they're getting key players back. Haaland's obviously
interesting.
And again, Wissa, I know he's been great, and this is coming from someone who owned Wissa for a good period of the season, and I found it really hard to let him go, to be fair.
Yeah.
But I think for me, I think that would be the only thing I would say. Rodgers.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I think for me it was one of them where my hand was a little bit forced. Like it was like, who do I go to? From Gabriel Jesus, I've already got Jackson and I've already got Isak. I'm kind of holding out for the idea of Jackson to Gakpo. If that materializes as, you know, becoming a good idea later on, especially for the double game week. But you know, just as easily, you know, Jackson could become like anyone really. But yeah.
So you did Jesus to Wissa this week.
Yeah, well, so yeah, sorry, that was exactly the point that I was trying to make was about, like, you know, who else would I go for, you know, other than Wissa? Like, Chris Wood plays against Liverpool. You know, it's like there's not really any great moves out there, but you know, Brentford and Wissa on good form, and I've got some great fixtures coming up. So
I'll give you three options, Mikey. I think we've covered two of them already. One is
in terms of a long-term hold, and you know, I'm not going to spaff my wild card.
No, yeah. Long-term hold, right? Long-term hold. Like you've moved Gabriel Jesus to Wissa, who plays City and Liverpool, which is, I don't know. I mean, boys, would you have done the same? Would you have done the same, Chaz and Andy?
With an injured Jesus? With an injured Jesus?
Well, we know he's injured, but I'm saying, would they have gone to Wissa?
I can understand the decision because he's trying to make the best forward transfer for the next, I don't know, 6-8 weeks. It's not just about the next two. Man City, they're always conceding goals. So I don't think that's actually a bad attacking fixture. So I do understand it, like especially with the João Pedro injury cloud as well. So I mean, it might have been an opportunity to free up some cash and go all the way down to Pedro. And I suppose the other option is Jimenez. I think someone else mentioned Jimenez earlier, but I do understand why you've gone for Wissa because I really like him as a player. I think he's already scored more goals than Tony has scored for the club, and he's never even taken a pen. So, you know, he's a natural goal scorer, and he just seems to be one that people don't give enough FPL respect to for whatever reason. But I think he is a good FPL pick, you know, despite the two bad fixtures he's got coming up.
Yeah. For me, I think there's another player that could have been an absolute gem of a pick that you've kind of missed, and that would be Mateta.
Don't believe it. No, I don't believe it. I'm sorry. I can't bring myself to bring in Crystal Palace.
He plays Leicester next.
I don't care who they play. It's Crystal Palace playing them.
He plays Leicester next. Who conceded how many in the league this season? In the cup, they won 6-4. He conceded 4, even though they won 6-4. Leicester.
Who was playing? Who were Crystal Palace playing in the cup?
No, sorry, it was Leicester were in the cup. I'm talking about 1-6-4. They conceded 4. Palace won 1-0 or something. But minus 21, you know, goals. Only Southampton have conceded. Have got worse goal difference. They've conceded 44 goals, joint as many as Southampton. And I think that would have been a great pick just because of his ownership. Now, all right, from a price point of view, all right, he's a bit more expensive. 7-2 this season just because of how good he was the back end of the season. But I think if you wanted someone, especially like who's going to be different, low ownership, who has a great fixture next. Palace and Fulham have very similar fixtures. I think they play the same 3 teams within the next 4 game weeks. And then I think the only difference is like one plays Brentford, one plays Newcastle. And I think Teta would have been a great pick. But Wiss is the guy. He's your man. And, he's not a bad pick.
Yeah, it's not that I disagree with you, mate. Like, I think it could be a good shout, but I just feel like Crystal Palace have not been anywhere near my radar, my FPL radar, all season. Like, all season. Whereas Wissa and Mbemo, they've been on the back of my mind. They've been knocking at the door for a while.
Yeah.
And I think like it obviously it does feel a couple of game weeks early.
Yeah.
But
bear in mind, one thing I will say is, which is probably something people whether they know or not, but like not expected, is Palace have only lost 1 game, and that was Arsenal, since game week 11 against Fulham. So obviously defensively, clean sheets wise, I guess maybe they haven't kept as many, but they haven't lost that game, and I think they're kind of like, they got Mateta, he's not got any really competition. Eze's fit now. People are talking about Sarr for this game week because it's Leicester's left is really bad, and they concede a lot of goals from there. But you've got your man, and that's it.
There was another factor. In fact, I remember exactly why I didn't go for Palace. Is because of all of the transfer rumours surrounding the who is it? Who's linked away from Palace? There's 2 players linked away from Palace, and they're quite important. And so it's one of them where it changes the dynamic of the team as well. So that's just another little factor. No, not Eze, but anyway, that's enough for me anyway, boys. Who be this?
It is Andrew's team. Fire away.
That does look like my team, yeah. I'm actually wanted to chat to you boys.
Disappointed.
I wanted to chat to you boys because I haven't made my transfer yet for this week, and I'm sort of torn between a couple of options actually. So, this is my team. You can see a big problem in my team, in my opinion, is Odegaard. I brought him in when Saka was injured, and he's done nothing, and he hasn't looked like scoring, to be honest. So the really obvious move to make is just Odegaard to Gordon. Pretty straight. It seems pretty straightforward. But the other option I was sort of looking at, because the problem with that is because I want to go. I'd probably want to go from Gordon to Mbeumo in a few weeks. So I'm sort of almost booking in another transfer at a time where transfers are precious. So the other option I was thinking I could do is I could go Semenyo to like a Jacob Murphy. So I've still got my triple Newcastle. It allows me to bench Wood against Liverpool because I can play Jacob Murphy and have Wood as my first sub. And then that would allow me to go Odegaard directly to Mbeumo in a few weeks. Because there's a part of me that doesn't like getting rid of Odegaard just before a home game to Spurs. Just because I think that home to Spurs is a fixture that has returned FPL points all season. So those are the 2 options I'm looking at. I'm probably going to make a transfer, in the next few hours, because I think Anthony Gordon is going to go up. So if I go with him, I've got to make my decision in the next few hours. So I don't know what you boys think about those 2 options.
How many free transfers do you have?
I only have the one. So it's going to be either Odegaard to Gordon or it's going to be Semenyo to Jacob Murphy.
Yeah, I like it. I think, Newcastle's fixtures short term are still pretty good. I know you're saying about getting Mbeumo in, but for me, I don't think Mbeumo needs to come in till 26. They play Leicester. I know, the week before that, they do play Spurs. And I think it's at home, is it? In 24? Yeah, it's at home. Yeah. So, that game he could do really well in. You could hold off for a week, though, and then you'd get Gordon. So Gordon plays Fulham at home that game week. Yeah. So that might be a really close one in terms of points. But I think for the short term, Gordon's a great pick, especially if he's due to rise in price. I think that more so is a bit more of a factor for you that you don't want to have to pay an extra point mil and so on.
Yeah, if I go for Jacob Murphy, then I'm kind of locked out of ever getting Gordon because that's my triple Newcastle. So it's a big risk if because Murphy's obviously looked very good the last few weeks, but before that he wasn't on anyone's radar. And if he drops out of the team or if he has a couple of weeks where he's not performing, then it seems silly that I've locked myself out of Gordon by bringing him in as my third Newcastle player. So maybe I do just need to go Odegaard to Gordon, keep it simple, get rid of the player that I never really liked as a pick anyway when I brought him in for Saka.
Exactly. You're going to feel better straight away anyway with that.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. I think the Jacob Murphy move, it smells a bit like overthinking, and it's just me making not the best choice, just trying to be too clever because I've been thinking about it for too long.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, have you considered just rolling?
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I have considered it. I have considered it, but I just love that Wolves home fixture so much for Newcastle.
Yeah,
and ever since I've had Odegaard, he's just been awful. Like I'd like to say that he's been unlucky not to return, but I've watched the games and he hasn't even looked close.
He's not even been close. Yeah, fair play.
Yeah. He missed a penalty in the FA Cup as well. So I'm grateful that he didn't do that for my FPL team.
Yeah, just the Andy Gordon, like, I'd be tempted to go Mbemo because you'd probably catch some more price rises.
Yeah,
if team value
goes straight to Mbemo,
you'd be considering. But because I feel like Mbemo could rise a lot over the next few weeks, as people look to jump on him, and you could be one of the first ones on it. But if your team value's all right, then maybe you don't need to worry about that.
Well, if I go Odegaard to Gordon, I'm going to make 1.4 million from that, or maybe I don't know. I don't know exactly what it is. It's over a million.
Not only that, Andy, Gordon's going to go up again, and you're going to kick yourself because Gordon plays Southampton next, who are the worst team in the league. So why would you want him for Wolves at home and Southampton away over Mbeumo, who has City and Liverpool? It's an absolute no-brainer.
Which is why if I'm going to change my midfielder, it's going to be Gordon and then Mbeumo again in a few weeks.
Yeah.
The other thing you might notice about my team is the captaincy. It's not on the Egyptian King at the moment.
Oh,
so I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
I did not notice that. It's on Palmer.
I've got it on our mate Palmer that we've been talking about a little bit.
Okay. He loves a palmy. He loves a palmy, mate.
I do love me a palmy. I do love me. In fact, I'm going to the pub tonight. I might actually get one just in honor of in honor of Cole.
Elite.
But I know we've talked about Isak captaincy a little bit as well this week. And the yellow flag is putting a few people off. But I do think this is a very good week to potentially go against Salah. Away to Forest is one of the more difficult fixtures on the calendar. They've already lost to Forest 1-0 this season. So I kind of feel like this is similar to some of the like last year. It was like you auto-captained Haaland unless he had like a really difficult away fixture, and I kind of feel like that's the case with Salah this year. And this is one of the only fixtures I can see in the next 2 months where there's an opportunity to maybe take a little bit of a risk and make some points up on some of the top 100k managers that are going to play it safe and stick the armband on Mo.
Wow, interesting. Because it could be a tight game. Liverpool versus Forest.
Yeah, I think I can see it being like a 1-0 or a 1-1 even kind of game. Yeah.
Interesting. You've got me thinking now because right now my armband is on Salah. But I might be like that meme where the guy's walking with his girlfriend, but he's looking over his shoulder at Cole Palmer.
He's I mean, Cole Palmer's that kind of guy. Everything goes through him. So if he gets even an assist, he's getting bonus points with it. So his assists are worth 5 points. His goals are worth 7 points.
Oh, nice. 8
points. There he is.
Shushing people. Yeah, fair enough. All right. Well, do we move on to Mr. Reed?
Yeah.
What have you done, mate? Own up to it. Confess your sins.
Yeah. What's going on?
Confess your sins, lad.
I may have hit a certain chip. I
Wow.
may have pressed the wildcard button, which, as you can see, is currently active. So, yeah, I've gone a bit early, haven't I, on the second wildcard? I went early on the first wildcard, so listen, that's just the way it is.
I need to see your bench as well, lads.
That's the bench. That's the bench.
Okay.
So let me zoom in a bit here. It's a bit far away,
Yeah.
isn't it? But for context, this was my old team, which wasn't horrendous. Now, the issue, or the standout issue is, and it wouldn't have been an issue, however, West Ham have just got a new manager. Fabianski
your goalkeepers situation.
Fabianski was due to come back. However, new managers come in. Is he number one? We don't know. Could be Areola. So that was the first issue. The second one was I kind of wanted Trent over Virgil. I'd had Virgil for a few game weeks, and I was just thinking, I just want Trent. And then
I love it when you take a -4 into a wild card. It's just what?
I love it when I'm still above. I love it when I'm still above you in the league, Mikey.
Yeah, mate. No, I love it. Just keep making decisions like that. I'm sure.
It's all right. Don't worry. But yeah, so
I love you, babe.
Another one was Jackson. Another one was Diaz. Also, my defenders, like the likes of Greaves, Aït-Nouri. So there was a few things in there that I was like, I'm not happy. I'm not happy. So I want to make the change now. I want to try and build transfers. I know this could potentially cause an issue later down the line, especially we've got a blank game week in 29. There's double game weeks in potentially 33, 34, and 36. So yeah, I get it. But for me, I thought I've not got enough transfers to make the moves I want. Let's set up a 15-man squad and let's get that sorted. So therefore, hopefully going forward, there's less issues or dilemmas. So this is where I'm currently at. Now I've tried to catch a few price rises, although generally when there's a bit of a break, I know not international break, but we've had a bit of a cup break. There's not many, but I got Kirkes, I got Raul, I got Mbumo, Savino. I think that was it on the price rise side of things. Obviously, the players I already had, like Salah, Palmer, Gordon, Isak, I was never going to get rid of them or move them out as such. So this is where I'm at. At the moment, it is 0.1 in the bank, 0.1. But as you can see, it's a good back five. It's a good, midfield, and there's a good front three. So. And obviously the goalkeepers. Now I've got Everton in, bearing in mind the doubles coming up. I've got 2 Liverpool, double coming up. I know that 29 could be an issue. If Newcastle get through to the final, then we could see that Newcastle Palace blank. If I end up with 3 Newcastle, 2, maybe 3 Palace, 3 free hit feels like inevitable. So yeah, boys, any thoughts or anything that I could do differently or anything that you think, okay, that's really good, keep that or
Reidy, what I will say is what's good about this season as opposed to previous seasons, because people can bank up to 5 free transfers, is that there's probably a bit more scope in you activating that button earlier. And if you roll up enough transfers, you can probably plan to transition to certain assets who've all got double game weeks all at the same time, as opposed to only doing up to 2.
Yeah, that's something that I've bared in mind. So, like, for example, the old thing was like dead-ended, right? Remember, people would dead-end when there was a blank and things like that. Now, for me, what makes it trickier in 29 is that, say I've got 3 Palace, 3 Newcastle. In 28, Newcastle got West Ham, decent fixture. Liverpool got Southampton, very good fixture. And then if you look at 29, obviously there's a blank. Liverpool could blank against Villa, and then or it could be Spurs, depending on the outcome, whether the Spurs are going through as it stands. But yeah, Newcastle play Palace. So I've got 3 of each. Automatically, there's 6 players gone. And then in 30, though, this is where it's quite tricky. So Newcastle have a good fixture against Brentford, and Palace play Southampton. So I'd want them players back. So me using these transfers and building them up, if there's a way that I can get rid of one or two, and then get them back, that might be viable. But it is going to be a bit tricky.
Sounds like a free hit.
It does sound like a free hit, but then in 30, I think people obviously you're looking at wildcarding, from in game week 30. I won't have that option. So I'm just trying to plan it in a way that I have to make minimal moves and I've got the players I need. Now, these two here, I'll tell you the positions that I'm not struggling with, but I'm kind of thinking, okay, these aren't set. So I think it's 2 midfielders, a defender, and a striker. Now, Kirkes can be Gabriel for some Arsenal cover. It was going to be Timber. I really wanted Timber, but it looks like he could potentially be out or injured. Then the midfield would be this. Be Rodgers, because from game week, I think, is it game week 24? They play Wolves, Ipswich. They're probably capable of scoring against Chelsea, Palace, Brentford. So they've got a good block of fixtures. The other one, which I know Mikey wasn't 100% keen on, was Ahmad, because he plays Southampton this
maybe
week.
not this week, but moving forward, yeah, definitely.
He plays Southampton. If you look at United's fixtures generally, they're pretty decent. And I know it's United, but that leaves me 7.2 in the bank. Now, I could stick with Raul, and I could have 1.6 left in the bank, you know what I mean, which is decent. Bear in mind, I want to go to Bumo in 26. So I'll be making at least one transfer. But if I didn't do that, I could with the 7.2. Oh, I don't want to go and help, or maybe I do need help if I'm wildcarding now.
Yeah, maybe.
I do want to. I wanted to potentially look at the option of, as I was saying before to you, Mikey, Mateta.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd have Mateta instead. Obviously, I can't afford it there, but with the moves I made earlier about Gabriel, Rodgers, Ahmad, I can get Mateta in, and I'd have 0.0 left in the bank. I think it was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so what do you think? I think the core of the team is pretty good, right?
So my issue with keeping 0.0 in the bank, having nothing in the bank, is that we might want to play assistant managerships.
That's exactly,
at some point. So I think the first way round, going with Raul instead, is I would argue is better. I don't know what other people think, but I think keeping something in the bank, for the potential assistant managership is useful. I think Mikalenko is not a fan favourite at Everton at the moment, and could be, someone who might, not be playing as regularly under Moyes, because he's not defensively solid. That's the issue with him. But then again, I'm not sure who else we have. I think the other issue that I have with this wild card is it feels like, obviously you've got your situation, but it feels like an odd week to wild card if you're not doing something a bit drastic. So for me, I'd be tempted to go for a Gakpo. Someone who other people don't have, who is absolutely firing at the moment. I'd even be tempted, if I was wildcarding this week, I'd be tempted by Haaland. I would.
So this, as a curveball, is the other option. The other option is take Salah and Wood out.
Sorry, you lost me at Salah. Take Salah out.
Take Salah and Wood out.
Yeah.
And not Savino, sorry. I would put in Rodgers already in, Ahmad. So I'd have Ahmad, Rodgers, Savino. Now I have 15.1 in the bank. For 2 game weeks only, 2 game weeks, I would go with Haaland and Savino, no Salah. I've got 0.3 in the bank, and obviously I've got the money with 2 free transfers, so not next week, the week. So it'd be game week 23, we play Ipswich. I'd move Haaland out and Savino out, and I'd get Salah, and I'd get, I think it was possibly Wood back.
Well, you could go to Wisa then, couldn't you? Even.
Oh, I could potentially go Wisa. Yeah, there's a few options, but
yeah,
for these 2 weeks, and bear in mind between now and 29, I think I'd have eight free transfers, is it? So even if I used, you can only build up to 5, right? So even if I used 3 transfers in the meantime, one would be Salah, Wood, and Mbumo, I'd still have 5 when it came to 29.
Yeah.
What do you boys think? Do you think this is too risky?
For me,
Salah, or?
Yeah, for me, this justifies the use of the chip. It justifies it. Like it's going different. You know, where like not a lot of people are wildcarding this week, so you know you can do it to go different and to get ahead in certain areas. And for me, you know, maybe the truth is we can go without Salah for a couple of weeks, and then get him back in whilst City are absolutely flying.
Yeah, but this is why I want to kind of like, what do you boys think of A, and wildcard and then booking in transfers? Or B, would it be better for me to just stick with Salah? You know, I have Wood, I go without Haaland, and I have 1.6 in the bank, and then I still can, you know, I get to Mbumo, etc.
Option B.
Chaz?
Yeah.
B, which is what I've just said, the last thing I said.
Yeah, going with no Salah and Haaland. I think it justifies the use of the chip.
Wait there, going with no Salah and Haaland.
Yeah. Going without Salah and Haaland is a good justification. Whereas, like, I feel like the other way around, I feel like you're just wildcarding into what everyone basically already kind of has.
But you think
I don't agree with that.
Okay. What do you think, Andy?
Sorry, I just think that taking Salah out before the game week 24 double game week doesn't make any sense at all. Because you're gonna want him for not having Salah for that double game week is pretty much season.
Well, his plan is to get him back.
Oh, I'll get him back. Yeah.
Get him back for the 24.
So I'll get him back in effectively 23 against Ipswich at home.
Yeah. I just think you're booking in a lot of transfers though. For a wild card, after a wild card, you want to be able to roll transfers to help you navigate kind of future blanks and things like that. Because there's two blank game weeks to navigate, and you can only use the free hit on one of them. So I think that booking in multiple transfers in the next 3 weeks is going to put you behind the 8 ball because you don't know what injuries are coming in the next 2-3 weeks that you're going to need to use transfers on. So you're going to find yourself taking hits immediately after wildcarding, and then you're still, stuck there with just sort of one free transfer that you've got to then start to try to roll transfers leading up to game week 29.
Bear in mind, this is a squad. This is a full squad. This isn't a Greaves or this guy doesn't start or maybe that. This is effectively over these next 2 weeks. I'm going to have benching headaches, right?
Yeah.
With squad.
I mean, with your second wild card, you need the full squad because you're going to use your bench boost at some point. So you do need the full squad. So and from that point of view, it's good. I quite like the wild card team that you put together. I think the other thing that you need to consider though is it seems like you're planning for a game week 29 free hit, which is all well and good, but the issue is that game week 33, there's another blank that you're going to have to navigate without a free hit. And correct me if I'm wrong, but the teams that blank in 33 are the same ones that are going to double in 34. So if you get rid of all of your players for the blank that are going to blank, then you're not going to have players for the double the following week. So that's why, in my opinion, 33 is the good free hit week because it's only that 1 week that you're going to not want those players. You're going to want them back for the double in 34.
Yeah. It is a tricky one. In my head, my heart is saying, my head is saying, keep Salah. I could punt on Savino.
My mind is telling me no.
Yeah, I could.
My body.
I could punt on Savino for 2 weeks, or I could just get Rodgers because I'm going to end up with him anyway, and it effectively gives me more money in the bank. So, with this one, it does feel a little bit more risky and punty. However, like I said before, you're saying about building transfers and things like that, which is correct. However, we're only allowed to get 5. Now, between now and 29, I'm going to have 8. So I'm going to have to use transfers, right? Now,
Yep.
the argument you could have is if I'm using 3 to get in Mbumo and then get Salah back and get Wood back, am I effectively then? I'm going to still have to use transfers if I want a third Liverpool for the double, right? So there's another transfer. And then who else? So it's Everton. I'll probably go with 2. I don't want any more than that to carry. But effectively, I'm going to need another transfer if I want to take out any Newcastle or Palace. So I kind of, see what you're saying. It just feels like to me, could the upside be there that with Haaland over these next 2 games when he plays Brentford, who are awful defensively, and he plays Ipswich. And you basically, what you're saying is, it's the only difference really is the Ipswich game between the two, because they both play Brentford. We play Brentford away, they play Brentford away, but they play Ipswich, whereas we play we play Forest. So our game is Forest away, their game is Ipswich.
Yeah, and then you've got Ipswich at home in 23, so that's when you're going to have to make the switch.
That's when I'd get Salah back. Does Haaland beat Salah over the next 2? That is the question.
Does he beat him? Well, is the difference in points between the two enough to justify all of the transfers? Because he might outscore Salah by they might score about the same. He might outscore Salah by 4, 5, 6 points over the next 2. But what's the value of the transfers you're using in order to make that happen? Mm-hmm. I would argue it's at least that amount of points and more. How many points do you value a transfer at?
So what you're basically saying, keep Salah, keep 1.6 in the bank. Bash.
Yeah.
I mean, I quite liked the original wild card that you showed us. And I guess, I mean, Savinho is that player that you could sort of use to free up a little bit of cash to use your assistant manager chip. You can easily take him down to someone to get 0.5 in the bank. But it still leaves you the issue that you've got with Game Week 29 and how to navigate that.
Because in 29, if I've got Rodgers and say we do beat Spurs, then Liverpool fill a blank. So automatically there's another player. You know what I mean?
I mean that's why I prefer Savinho, because at least you've got Man City cover. If you guys are talking about having Haaland in order to capitalize on Man City's fixtures, most people have got 0 Man City attacking assets. If you've got Savinho, at least you've got 1, so you are still getting a leg up on the field from that point of view.
Yeah, but the only thing is, I think having Savinho would not enable me to get Mbumo.
Right. So
that's the issue. I think the main issue that I want to ask, or the main question that I want to find out is so that would be my back 6 so far. It's only 1 position, and it's Arsenal. Would you be going for Gabriel, or would you take a chance on Timber? Because there's a difference price point of what is it? 7.7 mil.
I think Gabriel is worth the extra money personally.
He's nailed.
And he's got more attacking threat than Trent, in my opinion.
And Spurs love to concede from a corner.
They love to concede from all over the pitch. But
I think for me, like, just thinking like longer term down the line, like, I think I might want Van der Berg from Brentford, just moving forward. Like, that cheap option on the bench, but with some great fixtures coming up in the future. Yeah. I don't know who you would drop.
Kirkes, maybe? Or you don't have Kirkes there anymore?
No, it'd be for an Arsenal player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe even him instead of Mikolenko. I don't love Everton defenders for the double, just because one of the double is Liverpool.
He's against Liverpool. It's a single game.
0 or 1 pointer anyway. Like, it's almost the same as a single game week for a defender.
Yeah. It's just that he could get a decent amount of points against Leicester at home.
Yeah.
So if he gets an attack return and a clean sheet, then the extra point.
When does that ever happen? Like, I'm resident Everton fan, being confused at those two things being used in the same sentence. Like,
no. What I will say is that Mikolenko. What was I saying about Mikolenko? Let me see if I can find it. Mikolenko. So,
I mean, he's got a double, but
double
kill. Show my team.
Huh?
So I'm showing my team.
Thanks for being so present in this the discussion, Chazza. It's amazing.
I know, you sausage head. Shut up and wait. All right.
Fucking ramen noodles here.
Ramen head. Yeah, but listen, I won't take too much more time. I apologise, Chaz. I know you want to crack on.
I know you want to talk about yourself, Chazza. You know.
Yeah, so self-censored. What are you, Chazza? So vain. Yeah,
you're so vain, Chazza. You probably think this wild card is about you. You know.
Yeah, so this is where I'm looking. If I do go Timber over Gabriel, then it does give me 2.3 in the bank. And then what that does is, okay, I want to get rid of Ahmad and I want to get Mbeumo. And there you go. That would be the exact money, though, bear in mind, right? So by that point, the landscape may have changed with prices and so on. But that would, I'd have the exact money. If I've got Gabriel, then I can't afford that move in 26.
I personally think, again, I've said it once, I'll say it 100 times, defenders are worthless, almost worthless in FPL. If you can just get your 2 pointers and then walk away, or someone with the occasional chance of attack and returns, you're doing really well. Like, I personally don't think that the numbers Arsenal defenders are putting up right now are worth it necessarily. Unless you catch Gabriel when he scores once every 5 games, then everyone goes, "What, 16-pointer or whatever he gets," and then he's suddenly essential, and then just gets us 2 points for the next 4 game weeks.
Yeah,
or whatever, and I just think that the money's better spent elsewhere. In all honesty, I would, personally speaking, I would rather have Van der Berg over Timber. Just being honest.
Van der Berg over Timber. I don't know. I don't know if I like that one. I could do that. I could do this one. I could get Ahmad over Rodgers. Keeping Mbeumo. That's an option, this week. But look at the bench. That bench could get points this week. Imagine Everton keep it clean. That could be easy 12 points on the bench, maybe with bonus. Chris Wood could score against us. Timber, obviously, we don't know if he's fit yet, but it's going to be a bench and headache, or there's going to be points on my bench for a few weeks and so on.
You're on a bench and headache anyway. But
I'll let you know what my final team is tomorrow anyway, what I decide, but there's a few dilemmas before deadline. Go on, Chelsea. The floor is yours, my son.
Go on, mate. Have your moment. Have your special little moment.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
is he doing a live
Are we doing a live transfer, Chazza?
More so, we're just going to do a live roll. So this is how we're going to go. No moves this week. Pickford in goal. Aina gets a nod. Robinson, Timber flagged. Gordon, Sarr, Palmer. Salah as a vice captain. Jackson, Wood, and as it stands, Alexander Isak has got the armband. Rodgers, first sub. Virgil van Dijk, surprisingly, makes a bench. And Greaves, along with Fabianski.
Fair play. Good team, mate.
Yeah.
Looks pretty good. I would consider playing Van Dijk over Timber, regardless of Timber's fitness. I just think that as bad as Tottenham are defensively, they always score.
Facts.
And I can see Liverpool beating Forest 1-0. That's one of the outcomes I can see happening.
Interesting. I'll let you know tomorrow, Pointbreak.
Yep.
He's got no Spurs attackers. That's why.
Or even Van Dijk over Aina. Like, do you think that Forest are going to keep a clean sheet against Liverpool?
He's got Wood though, Andy.
Yeah.
He's got major wood.
So what he's hoping is Spurs don't score against Arsenal, and we don't score against Forest.
Yeah. No, I can. Yeah, I guess so. Just trying to maximise his points that way.
Yeah, fair. Good discussions though. Good discussions though, boys.
And what's really going to happen is Liverpool are going to beat Forest 3-0 and Spurs are going to beat Arsenal 3-0. Stick that in your pipe and smoke it, Chaz.
Yeah.
As his Wi-Fi froze, his mouth stuck.
Yeah.
I think he is stuck, yeah. I mean, it's the most serious he's looked all season.
Smiles. State, mate. I know you got called Ramen Head, but
yeah.
There we go. We've upset him.
Well,
That's
all right. Well, I guess it leaves it to me to do the addition of Captain's Corner.
Have you even? Oh, there we go.
Is he back?
I think he's put 50p in the Wi-Fi.
The thing is, what he always does is he accidentally clicks out of the wrong window.
There he is.
There he is, the fat-headed Bunyan head.
Yeah.
Bunyan.
That's a pretty good one.
Anyway, captain's corner, Chazza.
After that. Yeah, I was just in transit, mate. Just stopped somewhere, then I came back. So that's how.
Mikey was about to ruin your captain's corner.
Look, I wish you did. That would have been good fun.
Yeah. Oh well, but you're back to have your moment, mate.
Not you.
Well, Reidy's captain's corner.
No. Well, in case I need a super sub, that's him. But we'll start with Mo Salah away at the City ground. He's only blanked twice this season, one including being at home to Nottingham Forest. He scored the most goals with 18 and most assists of any player with 13 this campaign. Forest, along with Liverpool, have the second best defence in the league, having only conceded 19 goals. Cole Palmer, the armband who Andy has on at the moment, he's second for total points of 153. He's second in the ICT index, which is a mixture of influence, creativity, and threat. He's had 2 10-point hauls in his last 3. Along with that, interesting, Blues have been winless in their last 4, but Bournemouth have been unbeaten in their last 8. Alexander Isak, chom, at home to Wolves. He has scored in his last 7 league games, only 4 games off, possibly equaling Vardy's record. No one's really spoken about that until I just did. But within that time, he has had 3 double-digit hauls, 9 goals and 2 assists. He is equal top alongside Salah for most points scored in the last 6 game weeks with 58 points. In addition, his opponents on Wednesday night conceded the most goals of any side this season with 45. Bruno Fernandes, intriguing shout. 4 assists and 3 goals in his 8 appearances against the Saints. He's owned by less than 10%. He's an awesome differential captain option. He has not been mentioned so far this episode. Brian Mbeumo is the final one at home to Man City. He has been discussed heavily. 19 points away at Southampton in Gameweek 20. He scored last time at home, which was against Arsenal, and he's the 3rd highest scoring player in the game. And we'll leave it as that.
Fair play. Good captain's corner as usual, mate.
Pretty exceptional.
So
one's gone for Salah. No, 2. 2 people gone
currently
for Salah.
on Salah. I'm might be Team Andy here. I might be Team Pointbreak.
Yes.
I might be coming around to the idea of Palmer, mate. And I
even after everything I said about David Moyes, I appreciate that.
Yeah. No, hey, everyone's allowed one stinker per episode. It's all good.
Yeah.
I've had several. It's all good. Yeah,
I have one each week, mate.
Yeah. It's one of them. I think maybe this is the week when we've been talking every week about Nottingham Forest defence every week. About how good they are, not just in terms of their output, but in their underlying data as well. They are backing up what they're putting out. So Yeah, I mean, it feels scary to go against Salah though. Like that's the only thing. It's the FOMO that might get me. But then Cole Palmer versus Bournemouth is, it's making me
tasty.
salivate a little bit, isn't it? Yeah, you know. So yeah, I think I'm going to be there, to be honest.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm with you, mate. I'm with you.
I like the way I see the games going. I do think that Liverpool, maybe the most they score is 2 goals. So, you know, Salah probably gets 1 return. But there is an opportunity for Cole Palmer to get more than 1 return, I think. So,
Yeah,
if you're going to take a risk, this is not a bad week to do it.
Yeah, fair.
That does it for what I think is probably one of our longest episodes of all time, nearly 2 hours. And can I just say, for those who have tuned in the whole time, thank you so much to listen. All the waffling that has gone on, but it's been really good waffling, especially about Reidy's wildcard at workshop, because that's exactly what we're here for. I think Gary raised a good point. Rev could catch his first tube with Cole Palmer. I think that's fair enough.
What does that mean?
I think that's a Point Break reference, mate. I don't know. You need to rewatch the movie.
Oh.
It's only the best movie of all time.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
Okay.
Love it.
Right.
Love Point Break.
Right. Okay. Sorry, I'm on board
it's
now.
Absolutely class. Yeah, what a film.
Oh, so good.
Dude.
And before we go, Andrew, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks, Andy, mate.
No worries.
Having you on some great.
Mate, I love the show. I absolutely love the show, and I listen to it and watch it as much as I can.
Mate.
Yeah, I wish it hadn't been so long since my last appearance, but Chaz has been trying to track me down, and I've been hard to track down.
About 6 times, but we got there. No, he's though. Great asset.
He's relentless, Andy. I'd be ignoring him as well, mate. He doesn't stop this kid.
I had him blocked for a while, but I unblocked him, and they all started flooding through.
You know what, though? What I will say is he's got a heart of gold, and he only wants the best. And you can't knock that. He's a good lad.
Nothing but the best will do.
Nothing but the best.
Here we go, Chaz. What Mike is saying: get that tattooed on your arse cheek, and you'll always have nothing but the best. But no, listen. Good to have you on again, mate. It has been a good while, but
and the commitment as well. Getting up. Like, it's now closer to 9 a.m.
Yeah.
For you, but
the kids' iPads are probably about to run out of battery, so I'll have to go down.
So will you if you don't have a nap.
That's right.
Yeah, but cheers, Ollie. Cheers.
All right, catch you guys for Game Week 22, probably a Saturday morning or Friday. We will find out in due course. But until then, all the best of this Game Week midweek chaos is finally back. Catch ya later.